All right, welcome back, Charlotte Roval, fun track. One of my more popular track guides. Hopefully that means participation is going to be up. This is a new track guide. The old one, this is the old setup. If you drove the old setup and you like it, here it is. The car is a little bit more understeer than the new one. It is good. I did set some good times with it, but changes to, I think there has been some updates to Charlotte, probably an update or two to the Ray, and maybe just the weather conditions. I could not set the times I was setting in the past. I was about 3/10 off with this setup. So here it is. It is solid. The cambers are turned up here. The car does have a little bit more understeer. Um, in the back, the ARB is at 0 with this one, so that's obviously some of the understeer coming from that. If you want to give it a try, certainly give it a try. It is maybe a little easier to drive than the new one. Not much though, really. The new one's got pretty good grip. So this is the old one. Now, here is the new one. So the ride height is 1 mil higher than the old one. ARB 0, obviously in the front. We do not want the understeer. Damper compression is back to 20, so that's a change. Brake bias 58%, that's an individual thing. If you were locking up going into the chicanes, just try turning that brake bias up. That should help prevent that. Spring rates in the front and rear, soft as they go. And camber turned down a little bit here, so 1.4 both sides. Good news, camber is the same all around. So 1.4 in the front, and then the toe in is 1.5. That is turned up quite a bit, and that really gives you the turn into some of these sharp corners. Camber in the rear is 1.2, so again, just dialed back a little bit, both sides, and toe is 0.4. The rear tires on this track are getting a little bit hot, so 0.4 is keeping them within reason, keeping them from going over 100 degrees. And in the rear, let's see if we can find the rear. There we go. So 1 mil higher in the rear than the front, just to keep the rake good. And here's, of course, a big change. ARB is 10. That does sound like a big difference. It does help rotate the car. It does help with the turn in. And really, I didn't find the back end stepping out really any easier than the old setup. With the cambers turned down, I think you have more grip. So yeah, ARB 10, that's helping to rotate the car and made quite a difference. Like I said, with this new setup, I was running about 3/10 a lap faster. So I did find it quite a bit better. Rear compression is all left the same, 6 and 18. Fuel levels 13, that will get you to the end of the race, and in fact 12 might be doable. I'm going to do the first race with 13 just to see how much fuel is left in the tank, just to be on the safe side. And gear stack. Gear stack is standard. I think the iRacing setup has it at tall. As you will see in the guide, I'm getting to the rev limit just in front of both chicanes, and I think it is a faster way to go. It's certainly more comfortable, I find, also with the shifting and being in the gear you want to be in through the corners and that kind of thing. So that is the setup. So we'll go into the guide here. Track is 21 degrees. I've done some practice sessions. It's been 21, 22. Usage is 47%, so that's pretty decent. And so this is my previous best lap time. I did not beat it without getting an X. I did get a 124.155, I think it is. So it is pretty much back on track. However, like I said, with the old setup, the best I could do was a 124.3, I think. But the average laps were about 3/10 slower. So that is why the setup is changed. So we'll go through the corners in slow-mo and then run it out at full speed. So coming into turn 1 here, obviously this is going to be a big passing opportunity, so practice defensive lines. there is going to be a battle. So looking for the 2 board. In third gear, you might be up into fourth if you're drafting off someone, so just watch out for that. But third gear, and just at the 2 board, shifting down, or not shifting down, leaving it in third, shifting down if you are in fourth, and just a little dab of brakes, and then turning in kind of at that 1 board. You do not want to crank the wheel too hard into this one. It is easy to lose it. This is kind of a downhill slope, so the back end can step out if you crank that wheel too hard or come in too hot. And just getting on the red and white curb there, do not get on the blue. Even with this ride height, that blue is pretty disruptive. And then just managing the throttle, you got to keep a little bit of throttle on as you go through the apex there to keep the back end planted. Just don't stomp on it. And then looking for this light, the Marshall light here, turning in just before it. You got to turn in here earlier than you think. You want to get really as tight up against this barrier as possible without losing a tire. It's really important to turn in early as well, otherwise you will drift wide, and the wider you drift, you get closer to that wall, and you'll also be scrubbing some speed if you're going sideways. So still leaving it in third. Again, if you're drafting, you might be up into fourth. And just before the Bank of America here, just lifting a little. Again, if you're in fourth, you'd be shifting down into third. But just a little bit of a lift, and then getting tight right up against these curbs, getting onto the red and white, tight up against that blue curb, but don't get on it. That one is disruptive. And managing the throttle, again, keeping some throttle on just to keep the back end planted. And then you're looking for this white line just before the white line, shifting down into second gear. You can come through here hotter, but again, you'll be going sideways and scrubbing speed. So listen to your tires. If they're squealing too much, if you're sideways too much, you're coming in too hot, you're gonna actually be losing speed. And then just managing the throttle in second gear. This is a late apex, so don't apex here early, otherwise you're going to have to either lift or you're going to be going onto the grass, and that is not fast. And you can cross the line here, shifting up into third. You can get right onto this pavement, no problem, no X. If you do get on the grass though, it is an X, and then that barrier comes up real quick. In third gear, again, if you're drafting, you may be shifting up into fourth through this section. If you're not drafting, you still can shift up into fourth, but I did not find it to be any quicker, so I do like to leave it in third. It does make this next set of corners a little bit easier to manage and more predictable. So just kind of before the red and white here, turning in. Just turning in nice and easy. You don't want to be scrubbing speed, and again getting up tight against the blue hump there, and letting the car run out wide. And again, you can come through here hotter, but you'll be going sideways, scrubbing speed, all that kind of stuff. So as soon as you're past the apex and you get the wheel straight, shifting down into second, and just a little bit of brake just to slow the car. This corner is very easy to lose it. And again, if you run wide, you've really messed up your next corners to go fast. And turning in and getting right up into the cement here on the right. With the old setup, even that 1 millimeter difference in height, this was pretty disruptive. Now it is not. So you can actually get into that cement there and cut that corner as much as possible. And then just managing the throttle on exit. Again, you don't want to be pushing on to the red and white curb here because it compromises you for this next corner. So second gear, now I am going to be shifting up into third on cold tires, first lap or two or three maybe. I do like to leave it in second. This is a tricky section, and if you come in too hot, that cement barrier is going to wreck your tires. So just as you come to the crest of the ridge here, just a little bit of a lift, just again to keep from getting into that barrier and to help make the car more manageable to make this corner. So once you're past that Marshall box, and you've kind of gotten the car straightened up again, just a little bit of a lift once more, just to help get the car turned in, get it rotated, because you do not want to come in here wide. And then picking up the throttle as early as possible before that apex. Again, if you come in too wide, you're going to have to lift, you're going to have to brake, and you may crash into this barrier on the right as well. So make sure the car is rotated, get on the gas early, and then that is the faster way through here. And this is going to be a big battle here, of course, obviously coming into this next corner, so practice defensive lines. Looking for that 2-board in 4th gear. You can see I am at the rev limit now, and in real time it looks like I'm braking at the 2-board. In slow-mo it's just before. Hard on the brakes, down into 2nd gear, and then you want to be hard on the brakes. You can brake later into this corner if you're battling for it, but you will lose a tremendous amount of time because you're compromised getting a good exit. So to go fast, if hopefully there's no one fighting you for this corner, brake early, brake hard, and get your braking done before you even turn in here. Get onto the blue curb here. The ride height, you can cut this corner. Just make sure you're not on the gas very hard through here. Otherwise you will be in trouble. And then cutting that corner and then cutting this corner again on the blue. Just make sure you keep your tire on the pavement. If you don't, this is a big slowdown here, and it is so painful. It's almost 2 seconds, I think, something like that. My cat's helping me make the video here. Picking up the throttle nice and early, and this is where you will make a tremendous amount of time or lose a tremendous amount of time. And if you are in the brakes after this second chicane, the car is not going to turn very well, and you are probably going to run into this barrier unless you brake really hard to avoid it. So watch out for the guy in front of you. If he came in there too hot, he is going to be either going very slow or crashing into this wall. You want to be on the throttle so you can rotate the car better, turn better, and just steer through that section faster. Picking up the throttle, 3rd gear, nice and early, and then through this straight, this is where you'll make a whole bunch of time having done that chicane properly. Another big battle through here, drafting, all that good stuff. Now coming into this corner, 4th gear, you can see at the rev limit now again. Now I think there was an update to this track. There used to be some stuff on the infield here where you could use as a brake marker. Unfortunately, it is gone. It is I don't know if there was a curb, I can't remember, something like that. But there was some markers that you could use, but not really anything good here. 4th gear, and looking for the turn in the track here and braking just before it. Shifting down into 3rd gear, even on cold tires, this is still a 3rd gear corner. Pretty hard on the brakes though. Again, just like the last one, getting your braking done early so you can pick up the throttle nice and early, and same thing as last time, you can brake later, but you will be so compromised on exit and lose a tremendous amount of time. And then as you get to the shift in the line here, the turn in the track, that's where you're turning in. And again, getting off the brakes and then just starting to manage the throttle, and again keeping one tire on the pavement. If you cut this corner too much, a very painful slowdown. Again, I think it's a little less. It's like 1.7 second slowdown. It's terrible. You're going to lose a lot of places if you get caught with these slowdowns. And again, getting on the blue and white, or the blue, and then just picking up the throttle nice and early. 3rd gear, and 3rd gear to turn 1 again. Unless you're drafting, you may be shifting up into 4th, and that is a 124.157, so almost the same as my last one, but again, I could not duplicate the 24 ones with that old setup. So this one I did find is better. And I compared them both on the same track, same tire temp, same session. I just could not repeat it with the old setup. So that is a lap. Good luck out there. Can be great racing here. Can also be some pretty good crashes, so watch out. We'll see you next time. I'll run this out at full speed.